Hey everybody, we are back here on Co-Creation Nation. My name is Troy. I'm with my side seat driver, the great Lauren Hall. Lauren, how are you? What's going on?
Hey Troy, I'm doing great. I hope you are. I'm so happy to be here with our Team Nation. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we really hope to bring the value and the science and the real results of what hypnosis is, because there's certainly a lot of misconceived stigmas out there, even though we've been doing this for a couple of months, Troy.
Yeah, time has flown. I feel like time has gone really fast since we got this concept. And I guess that just means we're having fun, I suppose. But I feel like we've covered, so much in such a short amount of time, just a couple of months. And I think that's something that we'll continue to build on. And it's something that, hypnosis in general is something that interests me to no end. I know it interests you, Lauren, to no end. But it's just something that, that's the whole reason why we did this, right? Because we want people to understand that this, hypnosis is another viable option, just like anything else. And have someone understand that it goes, so far beyond the Vegas stage show or some silly YouTube video that maybe someone had seen.
Yeah.
And I think that's like we were talking about it just the other day, right? It's we get the best seat in the house, seeing people transform and change the course of their lives.
Yeah, and I know both you and I like continue to study, even though we've been doing it for years. I mean, there's so much to learn, and I find, and we've talked about it, Troy, that the more you learn on it, it's almost like the more elusive it becomes, because we're using words, but we're conveying information to the subconscious, a part of the brain that can't even interpret words. I mean, that's conscious analysis.
Hmm.
So it really is interesting how suggestible we all are, whether or not you believe in something like hypnosis. You certainly would have to make the agreement, to go and work with a hypnotist, or self hypnosis. I mean, we've talked about that. We can talk more about that, because we know that it really is all self hypnosis. We're the person in that seat to support the observation, so that things start changing at a behavioral and even physiological level.
That's exactly right. And that's why I'm excited about our podcast today because we have a guest with us today. So, Lauren, please let us know who our guest is.
Yeah, guys, please welcome. I'm so excited. This is a client that I've worked with a couple of times, and it's really been a lot of fun working with you. So I'll let you introduce yourself. Thanks for coming on.
Hello, my name's Len. As Lauren said, I've been visiting her, I think, 4 times now. Originally, I came there for a personal problem. I had recently completed hormone replacement therapy, and I was still worried about it and still failing. And it was a psychological thing. My therapist actually said, I can talk to you for a year, and maybe we're going to get this solved, or you can see a hypnotist and get this done in a month. Okay, I'll do this. I'll sign up for the hypnotist. Let's give this a try. And sure enough, it worked like a charm. Then I then I gave her a little bit more unusual request for my final session with her. Um, my whole life, I felt the lack of the ability to dance, the lack of being able to feel rhythm. And I actually asked her if she could work with me. And it's like, hey, we solved my problem in 2 sessions. I got another session I paid for. Can we work on something else? Can you maybe help me learn how to dance? Not so much the moves, but just so I'm feeling comfortable, just so I'm relaxed, just so I can feel the rhythm. And believe it or not, it actually worked. I actually have a lot of fun doing that these days.
Yeah, and I remember, Lynn. So when you were coming in, after each session, it's like I've talked about with clients before. Sometimes it feels subtle, but then when we start talking about it, then you really are aware, like, wow, yeah, this thing is changing. Like, I'm noticing results. And if you remember, you were telling me it was sort of happening in other areas of life, right? Like, just
Yeah, well, with you, what you worked on in the first place with the performance anxiety, it was a matter of confidence. The confidence you gave me there actually, I'm applying to a lot of different things in my life. The fact that I have confidence in my abilities these days. I have confidence in all my abilities, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel stronger, and makes me feel better.
yeah. So so Troy, this was the first client request for dancing. So when we talked about that, it's at session two, because you were kind of like, things are going great. Like, what do we do for the third one? And then you had this request, which I appreciate, because you gave me a little notice to sort of wrap my head around it, so I could really come up with some supportive imagery.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm far from tone deaf, but my head hears the lyrics of a song, and sometimes it can hear the melody, well, always the melody, but I never heard the beat or the rhythm. So it was like it was just my brain was processing information incorrectly.
Yeah. And well, and it tied into the confidence of being um, at your own freedom, right? I mean, this is what dancing is, unless we're a professional, we probably all can feel, an inhibition. But you even said, when I think you texted me that next day, because we worked together Thursday or Friday, you texted me Saturday and said, I went out dancing and my friends were telling me, right?
And they saw a difference. It was night and day, they said. So it's just a matter of if you have the confidence to try, and that's what I think this is good for. It's to convince you, it's to help you understand things a little bit differently, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm not the professional here, but it helps me understand things a little bit differently, and it gives me more confidence to act upon what my understanding.
Yeah, it's say so. I mean, it's a perspective shift. We shift perspective at the subconscious, and then it just changes. The brain is now seeing things in a different way, and so it can make interpretations differently. It can respond differently. Uh, so your therapist who suggested hypnotism, like you were just immediately like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll try it, right?
Well, no, I'm a freak about this kind of stuff. I research the heck out of everything. I mean, I won't, when I'm going on vacation, I'm going to research the town inside and out. Before I went to see him, this, I looked up what it was, what it really was, as opposed to as Troy was saying, the Vegas stage show. It's like, oh my God, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. But it's like, I found it was actually a tool. And when you really get down to it, the therapist I was going to was a specialist in EMDR, the eye movement desensitization retraining or something like that, which helps you get through, uses repetitive motion to help you get through things. You follow a little thing. It's a close relative of hypnotism, in my opinion. You guys are, the difference is your degree, probably more than anything else. It's like the same abilities, same type of conversations, um, just a way to get your brain to do things differently.
Yeah,
I want to thank you, Len, for doing your research before jumping into this wonderful magical world of hypnosis. Because most people, right, at least the people that I speak with, most people feel like this whole process is some loss of control. It means like someone's going to lose control. They're going to do things that they don't want to do, right? Like bark like dogs or things like that. But really, what the process is someone coming in and getting back in control of a situation that has seemed so far beyond it, right? That's why you've come to learn, and that's why you're now seeing success. I'm curious though about what your life was prior to all of this, prior to coming into Lauren. Like how were things before you and her even met?
Well, actually, it was 2020, and it was a bad 2020 for me. My divorce had been final a few months earlier. Um, we were separated for years and years, but it took a long time to get divorced. My girlfriend of a year and a half had just broken up with me. My job had changed. My son came out as gay. This is all in like a matter of 4 weeks. I was like, man, oh man. So I was like feeling a bit overwhelmed. And on top of that, is like one of the reasons my girlfriend broke up with me was because of the performance anxiety. She wanted more sex in her sex life. And I didn't have a physical problem anymore, but I still had the mental problem. So getting through that and getting past that, and then finding out eventually with a new girlfriend, it's not theoretical. It's like, this is great. This is a big difference in my life right there. I mean, yeah, I know it's petty, but it's what's important to me.
Mm-hmm. And that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Troy. So Lynn is such a hustler in his job. I mean, he tells me about his career, like he's managing teams, like he's making action happen. In a way, a very strong analytical mind. I mean, I knew that from the first time we met, Lynn, when you were telling me about the research. And in a sense, it kind of put me on the spot, right? Because we're not wanting to convince people that what we do is real, but hypnosis is an intangible service. And someone asks you how it works, and it's kind of like, how does the mind work? I don't know. Is there a guarantee? I can't give a guarantee because that gives this sense that I'm doing it instead of us doing this. So Lynn asked me some really great questions, which helped me understand how intelligent he was. And I love working with intelligent people because then I know the subconscious is really capable of taking a lot of ideas, so we could go in really quickly with imagery, you know. And then I made some
Oh,
audio.
thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you. I made audios of our session, but then we had tech flaws of 3 audios. I think you got 1.5, but I made some more like customs for you.
Yes. And I actually listen to them probably about once a week. It's I'll put on tap and I'll listen to it while I'm falling asleep just to get a reminder of what I went through and to reinforce the procedures.
Hmm. Yeah, so you were great because he followed through with, the outside activities that I suggested for him.
Well, other than the screaming, I had a hard time doing that. I am not into primal screaming. I feel much too ridiculous to do that.
It, it was okay. The things that you did worked, and I just want to give people the tools. Um, I want to ask where you did research. I mean, I know looked at my website and you vetted a couple of other hypnotists in our area. Was there any place specific you would recommend people check out?
I actually cannot recall today. I researched on the internet. I was looking for common grounds, and I literally probably spent 10 or 12 hours researching this before I went to before I scheduled the session.
Thorough.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of scary. I mean, it's an intimidating process. I mean, I don't like to be intimidated by anything though, so I was like determined to figure out how to do it and how to succeed at it.
Well, you got a good one, Len.
Yeah, I realized that.
Well, in Troy, Lynn has sent several people to work with me, and like you were
Sure.
saying, right?
As he should have. Yes, exactly right.
I've talked up the results quite a bit. It's like I'm very happy to be able to take a shortcut rather than going through a long process that will get me to the same place. If I can get there, not quite understanding everything, but just working with letting my subconscious control it. If I can get there faster, that's great for me. That's exactly what I want to do. And it's like, I probably never been able to pull off the little bit of dancing I do these days. It's just a matter of I had no ability and no belief in my ability, and that's changed a bit.
So I'm curious, Len. So because you were talking a second ago or a few minutes ago about the Vegas stage show, right? Which I think most people really think of. It's the first thing that comes to most people's minds when they think or hear the word hypnosis. So knowing what you know now, right, and having the experience going through this with Lauren, how was that so different? I mean, was it almost like, oh my God, like this is exactly what I thought it was going to be? Was because I know you did your research. Was this something completely different from what I thought the process was going to be? Like, how did that work for you?
Well, Lauren's procedure, I don't know if this is normal. I'm sorry, I've only worked with her, but her procedure is not that I'm getting up and getting involved in things. I'm not doing things. I'm listening and thinking while she's guiding me.
Mhm.
So that's one big thing. Is matter of realizing everything's coming from within me with the guidance is probably the biggest difference rather than doing things unwillingly or without that's to me the Vegas show. Like you make a fool of somebody and they do things they're never doing them without it.
Right, right.
Yeah, because we didn't do any interaction, like regression or anything. It wasn't necessary. And I love how you just described that, Lynn. Need to put that on my website.
Okay, good.
You're listening and thinking, yeah.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna get one of my books published, so I'm good with words.
Nice. Yeah, it's I can't even imagine 10 or 12 hours. What about being a hypnotist now? Would you think, I mean, this industry needs more people doing hypnosis. Are you swayed enough to step into the driver's seat, or?
I'd love to give it a try sometime. It'd be very interesting, but I'm not sure I have the skills you do. I am more intimidating than a lot of people, so it's like I don't. I scare people. They'd be more worried about losing control, I believe.
I mean, fear is an inducer of hypnosis, but I mean, yeah, I do suggest that you go the rapport model instead.
Hmm. Yeah.
When we were in our sessions, did you find it relieving that I was the one doing more of the talking? Because you had probably.
Yeah, that helped me relax. The fact that I wasn't expected to uh, repeat something you're saying or anything like that. It's just a matter of I had to listen and think. And maybe it's the way I'm wired. Maybe I'm good at internalizing issues like that. But it's like being able to realize that I can get this in my brain with a little guidance has made a difference to me.
So how fast did you see results on this? How fast did you see success working with Lauren Lynn?
Well, with the performance anxiety, it's really hard to say. I didn't have anybody I was with for a while, but I had confidence that the abilities were there.
Okay.
So that was after literally the second session. I felt good about it,
Mhm.
and it was like it felt night and day difference on that actually. With the dancing, is as you said, the next day I was out with my friends, and it's like they noticed a major improvement.
Did that surprise you in any way that it was that quick and that immediate?
Uh, yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect about that. I've read everything from it being instantaneous to it being to taking months to years to break through your barriers.
Mhm.
Um, I think part of the answer is I went into it with an open mind. I thought this could work. I thought I wasn't over here being a fanatic about it. I wasn't over here being a skeptic. I was saying, okay, let's see what happens. Let's see how it is, and let's participate 100% in the process to make sure that I'm going to get everything I paid for. I mean, I'm a cheap person. I don't like paying for things I don't get.
You were a perfect subject because you were certainly coachable. But I loved how you said you weren't fanatic and you weren't skeptic, and that's where I would want to move people towards. It's okay if you are at a spectrum, but let's come back to the middle so that we can just be in the present moment of where your subconscious is, because it's the subconscious that we're supporting, to make this momentum of shift. It doesn't have to be night and day, and this is why some people experience things instantaneously, or some people it's more gradual, and then they sort of look back and think, wow, I am actually different. But I mean, to me, the dancing thing was so, I mean, when you asked me about it, Lynn, and what I know about hypnosis, there really are, I can't even think of limitations, but I'll say there may be few limitations. So I knew it would be possible, but I had never done it. And I told you that. I just
Yeah,
thought,
it was definitely worth a chance. And it's like where I said, it's like I'm hearing the stuff, I'm just not processing it correctly. And that's exactly where I think people can get help from this. If their brain isn't processing the information they are receiving, and they know they're getting through, it's try to find a new path.
yeah. One one explanation that I hope I can articulate is, my opinion on how hypnosis does make this effect is that most of our brains are seeing the problem and trying to fix it. Whereas in hypnosis, you're experiencing the solution. And why people don't get to usually do that just on their own. I mean, we all do that with so many things. It's not like you need hypnosis for everything. It's just maybe those few things that your brain just has such a momentum or such an ingrained belief from whatever occurrence, that is on its own not getting past the problem state to connect to the solution state.
That's
So,
probably true. And again, that's very similar to the therapist option of using the MDR. I get exactly the same speech from them when I was in my therapy earlier.
mhm.
So it was just like, okay, it's just a way of processing the information differently. It's a way to get your brain to deal with things in a way that it's designed to do, but we don't really use it that way.
When Troy, so Lynn was telling me, I think Lynn, right? This was, you had just started working with a therapist a short amount of time before working with me.
Hmm.
And that was your first time ever in life doing therapy.
Yeah, I reinvented myself totally this summer since I changed when with a bad year I was having. I said whatever I'm doing isn't working. So it's like I basically went through a bunch of changes, and I started valuing myself and taking care of myself. Lost 60 pounds. First time I went to a skin doctor to get some moles removed in my life, got my teeth whitened, got a new haircut, all kinds of things. I just changed everything. I wanted to be a new person. I wanted to be a better person.
Yes. And
That's
feel
awesome. Well,
better.
listen, that tells people a lot about you as a person and your character, and I think that's wonderful. It's like a
Thank
whole
you.
new you between this time last year and now.
Absolutely. I feel a lot better about myself. I feel 10 years younger at least.
Yes.
So
Dancing.
if someone, and we get this question a lot too. So I'll ask you, Lynn, if someone's thinking about, if someone's on the fence right now, they're listening to this podcast, they're listening to your story, they're listening to your progress and success, and you're, maybe they're on the fence about, doing hypnosis. "Oh, I don't know, maybe it's for me, maybe it's not." What would you tell someone like that who just honestly, might have been you just a few short months ago,
Sure.
they just don't know?
What it boiled down to me was that from the research I did was that there was a good chance this was going to help me. And dealing with a problem for a year with a therapist or 2 sessions with Lauren, the difference in time invested and for the few $100s it cost, it was a much better investment of my time and money than going to see a therapist for 50 weeks and getting the same result, and maybe not even getting that, because it's like within a week between sessions you forget things, you start over almost.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I would have gotten the same results, definitely not as quickly, and maybe not at all. So to me, it was a almost a moment of rebirth. I mean, that's a big word, but when you question your abilities, you are limiting yourself, and trying to get past that was what helped me a lot.
Right. So when you came in with an open mind, was that something that developed based upon the research that you were doing, or would you say that you kind of had the open mind before you even started the research?
Well, I've gone out of my way to train myself to be less judgmental in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's a matter of I tried to come in with an open mind, but I wanted to, again, I want to research the heck out of it, and I wonder if this was, is this a scam? Is this what? I mean, people are going to have those questions. They don't know if it's for real.
Yep.
I had those questions. I says, it's worth the gamble. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if it works out, it's like you're swinging for the fences. You're trying to hit a home run. Maybe you're not going to get there, but heck, you gave that ball a ride.
Yeah, exactly. So your story is very similar to mine. I don't know if Lauren's told you about my story, but I mean, I deal in the anxiety market, right? I mean, I help people with anxiety, stress, fear, worry, uncertainty, things like that. But I work in that market because I used to also have anxiety myself many years ago. And no one ever told me that hypnosis was a viable option, right? I mean, I had medical doctors wanting to put me on medicine. I had been to, so many therapists, right? It's just like, give me a new person in front of me and a different couch to sit on. And it's like, that didn't work. I did acupressure and acupuncture and all that stuff. No one ever told me that this was an option. I had to do my own research, much like you. So I really applaud you and commend you for doing that. And coming into this whole hypnosis world with an open mind and say, hey, I believe in myself enough, because that's where it starts. It starts with the individual taking the first step and believing in themselves and coming in with the open mind and coming in with the idea, and the motivation to say, hey, maybe there's a better way forward for me. Maybe there's a better path forward for me. And I think that's wonderful. It's a beautiful story that you have. And I think that, like I said, it says a lot about you and your character in saying, you know what, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better quality of life for me. And like you
Yes.
said right a second ago, you've made all these awesome changes. And so we both really applaud you for that. That's wonderful. And I'm sure that maybe even next year, this time, you'll have all this other cool new stuff that you'll be doing.
We shall see.
It's the subconscious. It is always listening, and it is ever patient for success. It's almost the task at hand for all of us who are conscious is to decide what we want, because if not, then through comparison, right, the analyzer brain is going to just have information on what we don't want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Audios then that you can listen to, because the imagery in there is generalized enough that it'll always support whatever's going on presently for your story.
Yeah, absolutely. The one symbolism I guess you gave me was the control box for my emotions, where I can place them wherever I want. I have used that thought process 100 times easily since you did that for me last summer. It's like every time something's bothering me, I say, okay, this is going in the sealed envelope of emotions that I don't want to experience. We'll put that one away, and we're going to bring out more confidence. We're going to bring out more strength. We're going to bring out more happiness. Let's put away the stress.
Yeah.
So that particular picture you painted for me really stuck with me. And the last session where you did the I'm breathing in I am breathing in something on the inhale, like I'm breathing in confidence. Then on the exhale, it's I have confidence. That's something that helps me relax right now when I'm going to sleep and I'll do that, and I'll just come up with something that I'm trying to improve myself on. And it's like, I'm breathing in, success at work. I am success at work. And it's like that, the thought, I repeat that a few times, it feels good. And I don't know if it's working, but it feels like it may be.
Well, you probably appreciate this, Lynn, because the science mind you have. But when we get together and a little bit of time we spend just sort of like, chatting and talking about how's the day, it's because I'm listening actively to the subconscious imagery that you're giving me. And I use that then at our session in real time. So it's not a script, hypnosis is not standardized. And this is where, some people may have had inconsistency in testing it, because even if a hypnotist is using a piece of paper to read a story from, the experience is organic and original. So that imagery was perfect for you.
Yeah, that one, the two of those really worked out for me.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
I think your story is a wonderful one. And I know, Len, that there'll be people that will be listening to this podcast for months and years to come, and they will appreciate your story and appreciate your words. And they, will understand that, hey, this thing called hypnosis may also work for them and may also help them. So both of us, Lauren and I, want to say thank you for hopping on here and sharing your story, because we know that your story, and your process through this, and you coming on for this, 20, 30 minutes will certainly help people down the line. So
I hope so. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That was good to be on here. It was good to talk about. And I phrase things for the first time sometimes while we were talking today. So I see things maybe a little clearer even to myself now.
Perfect.
Well, maybe we can have you back on again. I mean, really, we love talking about hypnosis between Troy and I, because similarly, Lynn, the more we talk about it, the more clear it becomes for us. And just like hypnosis, this moment in time is organic and original and won't be recreated, because we've co-created it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Hey, thanks for hopping on. And thank you to our audience who are listening to this wonderful podcast and listening to us and listening to Len's story. Make sure you head over to, well, there's two places you can head over to, right, Lauren? They can head over to our website, hypnosisinaction.com, and they can download their own free hypnosis audios to help them, or they can also connect with us on Facebook over at Co-Creation Nation, and they can let us know what topics they would like us to discuss in future podcast episodes, because this show is all about our audience and about what they want to get value from and what they want to learn.
Yeah, stories are the best. So if you guys have stories on hypnosis, if you're a skeptic and you want to grill us, you're invited to be on Co-Creation Nation. We're just happy you're here listening. Take care, everybody.
Perfect. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.